Welcome back to another episode of Play Action Fantasy Football. We are back with Championship Week, and we cannot wait to get this one kicked off here for you. But before we do, make sure you like, subscribe. It goes a long way with helping us here on this channel. First year we did it starting back in September, so we've been here for all 17 weeks. Make sure we can get you guys the best available content. Make sure we are able to give you the best advice that we possibly can in a short amount of time. Make sure we're doing these videos consistently for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. We got Thursday Night Football. Kicking us off, we got the Jets at the Browns. And with the Jets here in Cleveland, a tough matchup for the Jets, especially with Trevor Siemian behind center here or under center. Garrett Wilson for me is going to be a cautionary start. When it comes to Allen Lazard or Xavier Gibson, I'm going to go ahead and put them as a sit. Browns side of the ball, though, going up against the number one ranked against wide receiver points given up is the Jets. So with Amari Cooper, I'm still going to start him. After that performance last week and how he's been performing with Joe Flacco, regardless of who he is getting guarded by, you're going to start Amari Cooper in championship weekend. Elijah Moore and Cedric Tillman, on the other hand, we're going to go ahead and sit them in this game. And that's going to bring us to our Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboy game on Saturday night here. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He will be a start for me in this offense. He is the only consistent receiver for the Detroit Lions right now. Definitely a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown, definitely a lot of Laporta, and obviously definitely a lot of running backs with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Jameson Williams and Josh Reynolds are sits just because of the fact that they cannot seem to get consistent enough targets or volume to produce points, especially in championship weekend. We can't have that. Dallas' side of the ball, though, CeeDee Lamb's obviously going to be a start. We don't need to talk about that. Brandon Cooks, I really like this matchup for Brandon Cooks. Lions are 25th against wide receivers this week, so Brandon Cooks should have a good game against the Lions. And Michael Gallup, on the other hand, has not been consistent enough. I'm going to go ahead and sit him in this game. And then that's going to bring us to our first Sunday game here. We got the Titans at the Texans. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a cautionary start for me in this one just because of the fact that we don't know who's going to be at quarterback. It could be Will Levis, could be Ryan Tannehill. If it's Ryan Tannehill, we're definitely not really going to be looking for too much for Hopkins. Doesn't seem to be a target for Ryan Tannehill, but if Will Levis is there, that's obviously going to be his main target, so we're going to put him as a cautionary start. Treylon Burks and Westbrook are going to be sits in this game. Texans side of the ball, though, sounds like C.J. Stroud's coming back, and that's big for receivers on the Texans. So Nico Collins and Noah Brown are going to be starts, while Robert Woods is going to remain a sit for me in this game. And then that's going to bring us to the Falcons at the Bears here. Drake London, Matt Collins, Van Jefferson are all going to be sits for the Falcons in this game. Not a big fan of this one here. Should be a lot of Bijan Robinson and a lot of Kyle Pitts here when it comes to receiving and running the ball. They're going to be the main focal points in the offense here. When it comes to the Bears side, though, DJ Moore is a cautionary start. Still dealing with whatever injury he had there when he got hurt mid-game against Arizona. So DJ Moore is a cautionary start, but Darnell Mooney and Tyler Scott, we're going to keep them as sits in this game. And that's going to bring us to Miami at Baltimore. This one has big, real-life AFC complications here for a lot of teams. So it's going to be a good game to watch here. When it comes to the Dolphins, we got Tyreek Hill, we got Jalen Waddle. Those guys are going to be starts or cautionary starts. For Tyreek Hill, he's going to be a start. Jalen Waddle is dealing with that high ankle sprain. He is very uncertain, or at least that's what it sounds like. Very uncertain if he will play or not this game, especially with the playoffs coming up in 2 weeks. You might want to sit him. For Jalen Waddle, though, I do have him as a cautionary start if he does play. Go ahead and put him in at flex, but just keep in mind that injury if you're going to do that. Cedric Wilson, on the other hand, is going to be a sit. There's no doubt about we're sitting him. If Jalen Waddle can't go, maybe Cedric Wilson gets elevated to a cautionary start. But other than that, I'm going to keep Cedric Wilson as a sit. Ravens side of the ball, though, Zay Flowers, we're going to start him after that performance against against San Francisco. Unbelievable performance for Zay Flowers there. He was targeted consistently, and then it was Zay Flowers and Gus Edwards the rest of the way with that offense. Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be a cautionary start for me in this one, as Miami is 18th against points given to wide receivers. So Odell Beckham will be the secondary target for me when it comes to receivers, and then Nelson Aguilar and Rashad Bateman are going to be sits. And that's going to bring us to New Orleans at Tampa Bay here. Chris Olave is going to be a start for me on the New Orleans side of the ball. Rashid Shaheed is going to be a cautionary start. Now, a lot of people, I already had a comment on my rankings video, so definitely, looking at some of these matchups, Rashid Shaheed in this matchup is a cautionary start, just depending on what Derek Carr we get. I mean, overall, it's a good matchup for Shaheed. Obviously, I would like him more as a flex or a wide receiver 3, depending on how your league's set up. So Rashid Shaheed is a cautionary start for more of those wide receiver 2 spots. Maybe more flex for me, like I said. More flex is what I'm looking for him, or wide receiver 3. And then A.T. Perry is going to be a sit for me on the Buccaneers side of the ball, though. You got to start Mike Evans. got to start Mike Evans. Saints are 10th against points given up to wide receivers, but this is Baker's go-to guy. This is a security blanket this year. Mike Evans is a start. Chris Godwin's going to be a cautionary start for me. He's getting the targets. Not high volume, but he's getting the targets, and it's adding up and fluctuating his points to be in the low teens, which is enough for me in championship weekend to put him at flex, depending on who else you have. And then Trey Palmer is going to be a sit for me in this game. This game is going to be an AFC East matchup now here, as we get the Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. Demario Douglas, the cautionary start for me in this game. Juju Smith-Schuster is questionable, and Devontae Parker has not been getting a whole lot done. In the game in Buffalo, I don't like the opportunity for them. Buffalo is 8 against wide receivers here, and Bailey Zappi is not that great of a quarterback. So that being said, Demario Douglas is a cautionary start. I would put him at flex only, depending on how much you need a flex position. If you have a better running back or whatever, listen to Jonathan's videos that are coming out a little bit later today, and he'll definitely help you out with that one. But Demario Douglas is a flex only for me. Bills side of the ball, though, Stephon Diggs, he's also going to be a cautionary start. This offense seems to run with James Cook, Kincaid, and then Josh Allen's just been taking touchdowns left and right. Okay, so it's Stephon Diggs here, not producing a lot the last couple weeks. He's going to be a cautionary start for me in this one. Now, Gabe Davis and Khalil Shakir, they are going to be sits for me in this one. Yes, Gabe Davis had that really good game last week. I don't expect that to happen again. He's shown it multiple times this year. 1 or 2 good games and then fall off. Another right game, fall off. I don't trust it in championship weekend. Play Stephon Diggs at your own risk in this situation. He might get a couple more targets here and might be able to produce something. But as of right now, he has been a disappointment, so he's a cautionary start while the other 2 are sits. And now it's going to take us to Arizona at the Eagles here. Good matchup for Arizona. However, the receivers are not great. So knowing that these are guys that you need to play in fantasy football or not playing fantasy football, depending on who you got, I'm going to put Marquise Brown, who is questionable right now, as a cautionary start. And then Greg Dortch has been coming up recently with getting a lot more targets and a lot more volume, while Michael Wilson and Rondale Moore are going to be sits for me in this one. I have Dortch and Brown as cautionary starts. Play them at your own risk. Again, I would put them more wide receiver 3 or flex, depending on the matchup that you have, just because of the fact that the Eagles are near the bottom of the pack when it comes to points given up to wide receivers. But this is also another thing with Trey McBride and James Conner. They're going to take targets, so keep that in mind. And then when it comes to the Eagles here, you got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. They are both going to be starts while Julio Jones is a sit. There's not really much explanation other than A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are going to get targets, and they are going to put up points in championship weekend. Now, if you drafted 1 or 2 of these guys, or middle rounds for your draft or whatever, depending on what you have injury-wise or what's going on, I'm going to break this one down pretty easily. This is Carolina and the Jaguars here. Adam Thielen got a good amount of targets and produced a little bit against Green Bay there last week at home against Green Bay. He's a cautionary start for me. DJ Chark is the same considering how they performed, while Jonathan Mingo is going to be a sit. Now, this is where it gets a little controversial, or a little bit of what I was talking about before we started this. Calvin Ridley, if you took him high, play him at your own risk. I will say this, though. Calvin Ridley got much better when C.J. Beathard came into the game. He was getting targeted more. He was the focal point in the offense other than Evan Ingram or Travis Etienne. So keep that in mind with Calvin Ridley. Play him at your own risk. He's more of a wide receiver 2 flex play for me as well this week. The other 2 would be more of, depending on what injuries you have when it comes to Thielen and Chark, that'll be a play it by ear type of scenario. Zay Jones, questionable in this one, and Parker Washington, they're both going to be sits for me in this game against Carolina, who are 4th against points given up to wide receivers. Next game we got up here, we got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. Devontae Adams had a disappointing game, and a lot of that has to do with Aiden O'Connell, who has been the quarterback for the Raiders. So Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers here, they are both going to be cautionary starts. Obviously, I would prefer Myers over Adams, and I hate saying that, but in this situation, that's where I'd rather go with it. You could play Devontae Adams if you want, but just play him at your own risk. But Jacoby Myers was definitely getting more targets in the last game against Kansas City, so that's definitely a plus. Hunter Renfrow will be a sit for me on the Raiders side of the ball. Colts side of the ball, though. Michael Pittman seems like he's coming back from concussion protocol. He's definitely making pace on this to play on Sunday. So Michael Pittman, if he does play, is going to be a start, obviously, in this situation. If he doesn't play, not a huge fan of the other receivers that we got here in Josh Downs and Alec Pierce. I was really high on Josh Downs earlier in the year, but he kind of fell back to earth here. So not a big fan of Josh Downs in this one. And then Alec Pierce as well. I'm going to go ahead and sit him. He has not done very much all year long. That's going to bring us to the Rams and the Giants here. We got Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. These are both going to be starts for me in this matchup against the 28th ranked when it comes to points given to wide receiver and the New York Giants. Tutu Atwell will be a sit for me in this one, though. And then on the New York Giants side of the ball, Darius Slayton's the only one I'm giving a cautionary start to. That seems to be Tyrod's guy. It was the same thing earlier in the year when Tyrod came in before he went on the IR for a couple weeks. And it's the same thing now. He came back and immediately Slayton was the target for him. Slayton is a flex play only for me this week if you desperately need somebody at flex due to injury. I know everyone's rosters have been banged up this year, and it's continuing to get worse as we get closer into championship weekend, which is this weekend. So that being said, Darius Slayton, cautionary start. Rondale Robinson and Jalen Hyatt are going to be sits for me. That's going to bring us to San Francisco at the Washington Commanders. Deebo Samuel's going to be in your lineup as a start. The dude's killing it. He's bouncing off. You got to bounce off him like a brick wall at this point. It's unbelievable. Go look at that tackle that was missed. He bounced off that defender. This dude is just waiting to wreak havoc on the field, and that is definitely somebody you want on your roster, especially going into championship weekend. This is a guy that I'm playing no matter what. Brandon Ayuk is also going to be a start for me in this one. Good opportunity against the 31st ranked Washington Commanders defense, so good opportunity for them there. Juwan Jennings is going to be a sit for me, obvious reasons there. When it comes to Washington, though, Terry McLaurin's a cautionary start for me. Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel are going to be sits. McLaurin is getting more targets and more consistent targets now that whenever Jacoby Brissett comes into the game, and now that he will be the starter for the Commanders this Sunday, Terry McLaurin is more of a flex play for me this week. That's going to bring us to the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Seattle Seahawks here. George Pickens is going to be a start for me. Mason Rudolph gets the nod again this week against the Seahawks. Mason Rudolph, even last year when he was the starting quarterback for a little bit, it was George Pickens. Same thing with Mitchell Trubisky. Those two were the ones that target Pickens the most. When it comes to Kenny Pickett, he likes to target Deontay Johnson the most. So that being said, George Pickens is going to be a start. Deontay Johnson is more of a cautionary start, especially when the Seattle Seahawks are 23rd when it comes to points given up to wide receivers. So play Deontay Johnson at your own risk. He could have a baller game here, or he could fall off completely. Allen Robinson will be a sit for me. Seattle side of the ball, though. DK Metcalf's a start. He's going to be the true number one. Then you got Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba. These guys are going to split whatever remaining targets are available after DK Metcalf. So both of them can have good games, both of them can have decent games, or one of them is going to go off and one of them's not. In this situation here with championship weekend, I would not mind playing either one of these guys if you have them at a wide receiver 2 or flex position this week. Either one of them. I would lean more Lockett as a wide receiver 2 and Smith and Jigba as a flex play. But you can do whatever you want with those two at wide receiver 2 and flex. That is my look and outlook on it when it comes to this matchup. That's going to take us to Kansas City as the Bengals are in Arrowhead Stadium here facing the Chiefs. Jamar Chase is looking to be coming back from an injury here this week. He is making progress, working out with trainers, which is definitely a positive sign. He has that questionable tag right now, though, as well. So that being said, I do like him in this matchup. He is a start for me if he is able to go. Same thing is going to go for T. Higgins. He is getting those deep passes and also short passes, which is allowing those targets to increase, which is going to allow for bigger plays eventually as the game goes on. Tyler Boyd and Trenton Irwin are going to be sit. Chiefs side of the ball, I'm only starting one guy, and I've been pretty much starting one guy all year if he was available to be a start, and that is Rashee Rice. Kadarius Toney and Justice Watson are going to be sits in this matchup. There's no more that needs to be said there. Let's just hope that Patrick Mahomes can actually figure it out and start hitting Rashee Rice more consistently. That's going to take us to the LA Chargers at the Denver Broncos. Keenan Allen is questionable in this matchup as well. If he is good to go, I'm giving him the green light on this one as a start. Joshua Palmer is going to be more of that cautionary start. I would elevate Palmer more to a start, but more of a flex play start if Keenan Allen is out. Broncos are still pretty decent against the pass here, so definitely want to be cautious with Palmer. But Keenan Allen, I'm not going to hold him back if he's good to go. Quentin Johnston, though, on the other hand, is going to be a sit. This is where it gets interesting, though. Breaking news earlier today was that Russell Wilson is no longer the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, at least in the next 2 games. That means Jarrett Stidham is going to be the quarterback here. Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Mims. Play them at your own risk because we don't know who Stidham is going to be targeting more often than not in this matchup. Honestly, if I were you guys, I would not take the gamble on them, but I know some of you might have no choice but to play these guys. I would lean more towards Sutton and Jeudy as a wide receiver 2 in this matchup and Marvin Mims as a flex play, if that is a possibility for you to do. I'm not going to shy away from Sutton entirely, but Jerry Jeudy might And Marvin Mims might actually benefit from Stidham now at quarterback, so play them at your own risk, but they are cautionary starts for me in this game. Last game on Sunday here, you get the Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings. Christian Watson and Jaden Reed are both questionable as of right now going into Thursday. However, if they are both good to go, I am giving, even if one of them is good to go, they are getting the green light for me in this matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. Romeo Doubs is more of a cautionary start. Now, if neither one of Watson or Reed can go, then Doubs is definitely going to be elevated to a start in this game. Vikings side of the ball, though, Justin Jefferson, he will be a start for me in this matchup. Jordan Addison, who is questionable as well, he will have a cautionary start just because of the injury that he's dealing with currently. And then KJ Osborne is going to be a sit. I do like if Addison is good to go, though. I do like the opportunity for him now that Hawkinson is out for the year. That is definitely going to boost both these receivers here in Jefferson and Addison. And that's going to do it for our final start sit for wide receivers in 2023. We appreciate everyone who has liked, commented, subscribed. It goes a long way in helping us here. We will be putting out more videos here soon. Definitely look out for the quarterback, running back, and tight end videos coming out later today every 2 hours, so we can go ahead and get those lineups going for you and hopefully get you guys a championship this year in 2023. If not in one league, multiple leagues. I'm in two myself, so I'm definitely pushing this week to definitely put out the best content possible just so we can all hopefully get a win in fantasy football. But other than that, you guys have a good one. Enjoy championship weekend. Best of luck to you. And drop in the comments at the end of the week any of our videos and let us know if you won. Other than that, you guys have a good one. We'll talk to you later.